All right, everybody, this is Logan Alec with your stimulus check update and your second stimulus check update for May 21st, 2020. Let's start by talking about briefly the IRS phone line. So, as I told you a couple days ago, the IRS has said that if you call the number at the bottom of the Trump letters, 1-800-919-9835, that you will hear an automated recording, after which you will have the option to be connected to a live operator. Now, I have personally tried calling this number on multiple occasions the past few days. I have never been able to connect to a live body. However, some people in the comments to my videos have said that they have been successful in reaching a live body. So I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe it's just certain times of day that live operators are there and the IRS hasn't told us the specific times of day. Maybe it's just a volume thing, right? They have a limited number of operators. They're probably still short-staffed. They said they're bringing back 3,500 operators, but I have to imagine the volume of people calling about their stimulus payments is immense. So, maybe I just happened to call at times when there wasn't, enough bodies picking up phones to account for the volume at the time. I'm not sure, but that number again is 1-800-919-9835 if you want to take your chances on being connected to a live operator. Now, let's just talk about the sorry state of our economy and how many people are struggling right now. Nearly 15 million credit card bills were not paid in April, according to TransUnion. Roughly 3.6 million homeowners were past due on their mortgage in April. Nevada, New Jersey, and New York led all 50 states in delinquency increases April over March. It's no wonder why people can't pay their credit card bills and can't pay their mortgage, because that's pretty hard to do when you don't have a job. 2.4 more million Americans filed jobless claims last week. This is the highest level of joblessness since the Great Depression. Federal Chair Jerome Powell has said that unemployment could reach as high as 25%, which was its Great Depression peak. Now, right, if you look at the unemployment charts recently, it's kind of like that, and then it just spikes up, right? Well, okay, no wonder there. That's what happens when you shut down an entire country, right? This was caused by a pandemic, obviously. So I'm not saying that this recession we're in, or maybe depression, who knows, is going to be as bad as the Great Depression. Okay, it's not like this was caused by underlying structural issues with our financial system. Now, don't get me wrong. There are underlying structural issues with our financial system, okay? But first and foremost, this current economic crisis was caused by a pandemic. And if, and this is a big if, the reopening of the country goes at least somewhat well, we should hopefully be bouncing back, right? Not like it was before for a long time. Economists still predict, even under some best case scenarios, unemployment will still be, upwards of 9% by the end of 2021. That's next year. But what I'm saying is, as the country continues to reopen, as long as there's not the second wave, it might go up to 25%. Okay, but the decline will be pretty sharp. Still will be high. Okay, but and it'll gradually just kind of, hopefully that jobless rate will just continue to trickle down over the next year, couple years. Who knows, right? So another report said that nearly half of American households have lost their employment income during the pandemic. This is according to a Census Bureau survey. 47% of all households have reported job loss. More than half of households with incomes under $50,000 they have seen their income slide, as well as more than half of households in which no one has a bachelor's degree. African American and Hispanic households were more likely than not to lose income. Now, with all this said about unemployment, let me tell you what Mitch McConnell said about unemployment, right? He said that there is no chance of extending the FPUC, right? That's the extra $600 weekly that was instituted by the CARES Act for everyone currently collecting state unemployment benefits. There is no chance of that being extended, okay? Remember, FPUC, the extra $600 a week, federally funded unemployment benefit on top of people's regular state unemployment benefits, that is slated to end under the CARES Act on July 31st of this year. Okay? Now, in the HEROES Act, Democrats want to extend that July 31st date to a soft cutoff of January 31st. What's a soft cutoff? Well, that means that, look, even if you are in the middle of receiving your benefits, the FPUC, on January 31st, 2021, okay, then you can still continue taking it, right, all the way through March 31st. That's what they mean. So they want to extend this unemployment benefit for a long time. But you got to remember, folks, getting an extra $600 a week in unemployment, right? Some of you say, oh, that's not a lot of money. Okay, and granted, it might not be a lot of money, all right? But nevertheless, unemployment benefits and expanding and extending unemployment benefits is antithetical to the Republican goal right now of reopening the economy and getting people back to work, okay? McConnell told House Republicans yesterday that if there is another stimulus bill, another relief package, that Republicans would work to clean up the Democrats' crazy policy that is paying people more to remain unemployed than they would earn if they went back to work. He said that will not be in the next bill. Now, I don't want you to interpret McConnell's words beyond what they mean. The thing that he particularly pointed out was the Democrats' crazy policy that pay people more to remain unemployed than they would earn if they went back to work. He's not saying that federally funded unemployment benefits would go away altogether, right? Because you remember last time, GOP senators, what did they want to do? They wanted to cap, right, individuals' total unemployment benefits, state and the federal ones under the CARES Act, at 100% of their salary before they were laid off. Right, because some people are making more now in unemployment than they did when they were working. Okay, so they have very little incentive to go back to work, right? And that's not what the Republicans want. So maybe we'll see something like that, right? Some kind of a cap on those benefits that will be extended. Okay, we might see that. Nevertheless, I do hope for those of you in unemployment and who do not have a job to go back to, I hope that there is still something for you from the federal table after July 31st. Okay. Now, I mentioned this last night in a quick video I made, but there are 4 senators, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, who have proposed this bill that would create a tax credit to acquire new job skills if you were laid off. All right, so it's up to a $4,000 tax credit. You can see my video last night where I shared the information with you. Now, like I said in that video last night, I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube, a handful anyway, where some stimulus YouTubers are talking about $4,000 stimulus checks proposed by senators in bipartisan bill. Look, these aren't stimulus checks. As I said last night, a stimulus check, this is a tax credit. And as I said last night, a tax credit is not a stimulus check unless it's paid in advance, right? Like the tax credit under the CARES Act. If it's not paid in advance, it's not a stimulus check. It's just a tax credit. All right, so check out that video last night if you're interested in learning more about that job skills credit. Another proposal, and this is not from Congress, this is not from anyone in the Senate or the House, is to basically give $10,000 in credit card interest relief during the pandemic. So these 2, who are they? I think they're just professors somewhere. And what their idea is to allow banks to charge the government directly for 70% of interest charges on consumer credit cards, with the remaining 30% being charged to consumers who could defer their portion until the crisis is over. So it's basically saying, hey, government's going to subsidize your interest payments, or at least up to 70% of them, throughout the duration of this crisis, with this benefit capped at $10,000. Now, this just seems like kind of brain fodder for economists and professors like this. I haven't seen anything, in the House or the Senate that would imply that they're really looking at this, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Now, on the topic of reopening, like I told you yesterday in my first video, the CDC director has said that he believes that the country is ready to reopen, okay? He said they will need a lot of contact tracers to do that, between 30 to 100,000. I made a video yesterday about how to apply to become a contact tracer. And don't let anyone poo-poo you about applying to become a contact tracer. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great, right, if you had an extra $4,000 laying around right now to get job skills and you can get a credit for it on your tax return next year. But the reality is, for many of you, you don't have an extra $40 right now, much less $4,000 to spend on acquiring new job skills. You need money now, right? And maybe the contact tracer thing is a way for you to get money now. So check out the video yesterday. I show you how to apply. The CDC, as you know, has released detailed reopening guidelines. The White House hasn't really liked that very much. But that said, the CDC is saying, hey, or at least the CDC director said, hey, America's ready to reopen. Okay, and I think that will be a Republican talking point to perhaps continue to pause progress on the next relief bill. That said, I did a poll yesterday in the channel. I asked you, what do you I just posted a video where the CDC director gave his opinion on whether or not the U.S. is ready to reopen right now. What do you think? Is the U.S. ready to start reopening? 6,100 of you responded. 28% said the U.S. is ready to start reopening. 72% said no, the U.S. is not ready to start reopening. So the vast majority of you, at least who watch my videos, do not believe that the country is ready to reopen. Let's talk about states here real quick. So, according to some think tank, state budgets could face a $765 billion shortfall in the coming 3 years. Now, what did the what do Democrats want right now? They're kind of the trophy piece of the HEROES Act is more funding for state and local governments, right? So they might point to this, okay, and say, look, our states are going to be in dire straits. Republicans, you need to, get off your high horse and just approve this package for state and local governments. McConnell has not said that he opposes more federal funding for state and local governments. But what he does want is that liability protection, right? For states to institute protections for businesses in their states, right, to prevent coronavirus-related lawsuits from coming up. Business reopens, a patron or an employee gets COVID-19. Oh, I got it from you. You, Mr. Your business. Now I'm going to sue you. But McConnell wants protections against lawsuits like that as a condition of states receiving federal funding in the next relief package, if there is one. Okay, and speaking of the next relief package, when I talk about McConnell, when I talk about Republicans, right, wanting to push the pause button, right, that's kind of McConnell's words. However, there are some Republican senators who feel more of a sense of urgency than Mitch McConnell does about at least to talk about another relief package. Because you've got to remember, right now, the Senate is handling judicial nominations. And they have a Memorial Day break, right? Next week when they go back to their states, their home states, right, and take care of business there and all that. But there are some GOP senators who feel more of a sense of urgency than Mitch McConnell does. Roger Wicker, Mississippi, who is the chair of the Senate Commerce Committee, says, I think June doesn't need to come and go without a phase 4. So he's saying that, look, June, okay, maybe it's not going to get done this month, obviously, especially with Memorial Day next week. But we got to do something in June. Susan Collins, she urged other senators in the GOP to not wait any longer to pass another relief package, right, with hundreds of billions of dollars in additional aid to state and local governments, right? So she's kind of saying, hey, this Democrat proposal, states need this money. Cory Gardner of Colorado, he actually urged the Senate not to go home for Memorial Day if they haven't at least brought up and started talking about another coronavirus relief bill. Okay, so just like there are some Democrats, right, who weren't too thrilled about the HEROES Act, there are some Republicans who maybe their line of thinking is a little different than party leadership, and they feel more of a sense of urgency for another round of stimulus. So, but what does this mean, right? Will there be another round of stimulus? I'm sticking to my guns here, okay? I believe that depending on how the economy reopens and how that goes, Republicans, Trump, could sign off on another round of stimulus checks. Maybe even 2 if it looks like the economy really needs that jump start. What I don't think is that there will be this recurring monthly income of $2,000, $4,000, whatever a month, okay? I think that's completely off the table at this point for Republicans, unless the virus situation gets abysmally worse, okay? I stuck to this is what I've been saying the past few weeks. Many of you have said, well, you keep saying the same thing every day. Well, yeah, because I haven't had to change my story every day, right? I'm not like some of these cats who were talking up the $2,000 a month, saying, oh yeah, traction's gaining for the $2,000 a month, and they made all these videos about $2,000 a month. Oh, but now they have to change their tune because the Democrats only proposed another round of $1,200 checks, okay? I haven't had to change my tune because this is what I've been saying the whole time. Anyway, look, I don't want to sound cold there. Okay, for those of you who are really struggling right now and who really need any extra money you could get, I do hope fortune smiles upon you, whether that's in the form of another stimulus check or another blessing. I do hope the best for you in this situation. Okay, trying to be realistic here and not get anybody's hopes up. Okay, so we will see what happens in the coming weeks as the country starts to reopen. We will see if that shifts the position of McConnell, right, on this issue. Because remember that video I showed you from John Kennedy the other day? I think that was 2 days ago. We were talking to Mnuchin, and he was like, hey, I know how this game's going to work with the next stimulus bill. You, Mnuchin, and McConnell, and Schumer, and McCarthy, and Pelosi, you're all going to kind of do some backroom negotiation, and you're going to come out with this plan, and you're going to present it to the rank and file congressmen and congresswomen. We're going to grovel, but we're going to pass it, right? That was his perspective, okay? Is that exaggeration? I'm not sure. So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, these GOP senators are talking about this stuff, but I wouldn't, get your hopes up too high that the GOP, just because these senators said these things, that they're, going to pick up the new coronavirus legislation like that, okay? Still, it seems by the comments by that senator, right, in terms of getting stuff done in Congress, is still a very top-heavy progress, right? Stuff comes from the top down. Okay. So that is my stimulus update for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I really hope that good fortune comes your way in the coming days, weeks, and months, even though it might not look like it right now. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.